Flipbook, I want us to be looking at the last 4 problems. Multi-step equations with variables on both sides. I might ask you to go through and solve some of these. We are going to go ahead and skip number 1 though. We won't see anything like number 1 until next year. So don't worry about that for now. Now this first one, number 2. We're going to go through this one together. So first thing we want to do is distribute. So you're going to take this -4, multiply it to both numbers in the parentheses. -4 times 2, we get -8d. And then -4 times the -3. Be careful of your signs. Since they're both negative, it's going to turn into +12. And then keep your equal sign, 2d plus 11. If it helps you to draw your line down the middle, do that now. Now remember, we want to, well, it's a little bit easier to move the variables first. Take the smaller variable, so -8. And we're going to move that to the other side by doing the opposite, +8. +8 to the other variable. -8 plus 8, those will cancel. So we're just left with 12 equals 2d plus 8d is 10d plus 11. Now from here, we're trying to get this variable by itself, so we want to move this constant. So we're going to subtract 11 on both sides. 12 minus 11 is 1 equals 10d. And then to get d by itself, we're going to go ahead and divide by 10. So d in this one ends up being 1/10. If you want to make that into a decimal that's easy for you to work with, you could go ahead and change this to just 1/10. So 0.1, that'd be okay too. Because that might make it a little easier to check your work. So checking your work, you're taking 0.1 and you're plugging this back in. So it's -4 in parentheses, 2 times d, I'm going to use the decimal, 0.1, minus 3 equals 2 in parentheses, 0.1 plus 11. So now we're just going to work this out. So -4 in parentheses, 2 times 0.1 is just 0.2 minus 3 equals 0.2 plus 11. And then subtract these, so -4, 0.2 minus 3 is going to give us a -2.8 equals 0.2 plus 11 is going to give us 11.2. And then when we multiply these, you can go ahead and use a calculator. I don't have one right next to me, so I'm just going to work it out real quick. But if we did it right, we should get 11.2. And we do get 11.2. So it's the same on both sides. So we did it right, and we got the right answer. So it's okay to get decimals or fractions as answers. That'll happen sometimes. This next one, we start by the same thing. We're going to distribute whatever we need to. So the 4 has got to be distributed, and the 8's got to be distributed. 4 times z is 4z. 4 times 3 is 12, so plus 12. Keep the -4 equals 8 times 1/2 z. Half of 8 is 4, so 4z plus 1. Now you have this, and we can solve it from here. So I want you to take a minute, combine your terms on each side, and then try to solve this and see what you get. All right, looking at this, when we do it, we get 4z, and then 12 minus 4, we get 8, so plus 8 equals 4z plus 1. Now, if you remember, we want to move the z over, but what's going to happen is both of them are going to cancel. And remember, when that happens, we just get 8 equals 1, which is never true. So this is a case where it's no solution. All right. And then I want you to try number 4. When you distribute these fractions, all of these can be divided by 3, and all of these can be divided by 4. So you should still get whole numbers after you distribute the fraction. Just to show you how that works, on the left, it's 1/3. So really, we're dividing everything by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 1/3 of 9 is 3, so 3c. 1/3 of 18 is 6, so it just ends up being -6. And then 1/3 of 3, well, 3 divided by 3 is 1, so it ends up being -1c. And then same thing on the other side. 1/4 of 12 is 3, so we get 3c, and 1/4 of 28, 28 divided by 4 is 7, so we get -7. Go ahead and finish this from here. All right, so just going through checking your work. Combine your like terms first. We have a 3c and we have a -1c. Keep in mind you want to keep the negative. So 3c minus 1c is 2c. -6 equals 3c minus 7. We want to move the variable first and the smaller one. The smaller one is 2c, so we're going to subtract 2c and subtract 2c. So we're left with -6 equals 1c minus 7. We want to get this constant away from the variable, so we're going to add 7. -6 plus 7 is 1 equals 1c. So really, if you wanted to, you could divide by 1, but we get c equals 1. Now let's just check this real quick to make sure. So 1/3, instead of 9c, it's going to be 9 times 1 minus 18 minus 3 times 1 equals 1/4 times 12 times 1, which we know will just be 12, minus 28. I ran out of room to write that a little bit. Let's zoom in a little bit more. So now let's just solve this. We want to keep 1/3 of 9 minus 18 is just -9, and then 3 times 1 is just 3, equals 1/4 of 12 minus 28. Subtract, and we will get -16, because the 28 is larger, so it's going to be negative. -3, -9 makes -12. So now when we do this, if it helps, you can make this over 1 when you multiply these fractions, but really we're just taking 1/3 of 12, which is 12 divided by 3, which ends up being 4. So we get -4 on one side, and then on this side, 1/4 of 16 is still 4, and it's negative, and we get -4 on the other side. So it does end up working. All right, we'll do some more practice with these tomorrow. Thank you.